Aging is often seen as the golden chapter of life, a time to rest, reflect, and enjoy the rewards of a well-lived journey. With decades of experience and wisdom, one would expect this stage to be filled with peace and fulfillment. Yet for many, it is anything but serene. The truth is, no matter how much we have achieved, our happiness in old age is largely determined by the people we allow into our lives. Some relationships uplift us, nurturing our spirit like sunlight to a flower. Others, however, act like weeds, slowly creeping in, draining our energy, and suffocating our joy. The Buddha once said, "Your own self is your master. Who else could be?" This profound teaching reminds us that our well-being is not in the hands of others, but in our own ability to make mindful choices. One of the most crucial choices we must make in old age is deciding who deserves a place in our lives. Some individuals, whether intentionally or not, can strip away our peace, cloud our clarity, and turn what should be a time of tranquility into a period of emotional exhaustion. Imagine sitting in your favorite chair, a warm cup of tea in hand, the sun casting golden light through the window. You should be savoring this moment of quiet, but instead, your mind is heavy with worry. The same people who have taken from you for years are still calling, still demanding, still disrupting your peace. The question is, how much longer will you allow it? Just as a gardener must carefully tend to their plants, nourishing the healthy ones while removing the weeds, we too must be mindful of the relationships we keep. Some people bring love, joy, and meaning to our lives. Others bring stress, manipulation, and negativity. The key to true emotional and spiritual freedom in old age is learning to distinguish between the two. In this journey, we will explore the 7 types of people who can make life in your later years unnecessarily difficult, even if they are family. Recognizing them is the first step. Learning to distance yourself from them, without guilt or hesitation, is the path to reclaiming your peace. Protecting your well-being is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of wisdom. 1. Breaking free from emotional manipulation, the path to true compassion. How manipulators exploit your kindness. Imagine this. You are enjoying a peaceful afternoon, sipping tea, when the phone rings. It's a relative, a friend, or even a close acquaintance. Once again, they need something. At first it seems innocent, just a small favor. But over time, these requests become more frequent, more demanding. What once felt like an act of kindness now feels like an obligation, a duty you never agreed to. Manipulators are masters of emotional traps. They do not ask for help out of genuine need. Instead, they disguise their needs as emergencies, making you feel as though you must step in. They remind you of past sacrifices, subtly making you feel guilty if you even consider saying no. After everything I've done for you, if you don't help me, who else will? Their words are carefully chosen, their tone designed to pull at your heartstrings, making it nearly impossible to turn them away. And so, you give in, again and again. But what happens next? You begin to feel drained. Your peace of mind is replaced by stress. Your own needs are neglected because someone else's demands always come first. This is the cost of allowing manipulation to take root in your life. In Buddhism, we learn that attachment to others' expectations leads to suffering. If we do not establish boundaries, we risk losing ourselves in the endless cycle of pleasing others at the expense of our own well-being. But here's the good news. There is a way out. Setting boundaries with wisdom and compassion. Breaking free from manipulation does not require harshness or conflict. Instead, it requires clarity, strength, and a deep understanding of what true compassion really means. Here's how you can gracefully navigate these situations while preserving your inner peace. 1. Recognize the pattern. Before you can escape manipulation, you must first see it for what it is. Pay attention to how you feel when someone asks for help. Do you feel obligated rather than willing? Do you notice a pattern of guilt being used against you? Awareness is the first step to change. 2. Redefine compassion. Many believe that saying no is selfish, but in Buddhist philosophy, true compassion is about balance. Helping others should come from a place of love, not from guilt or pressure. If assisting someone is harming your own peace, then it is no longer an act of kindness, it is self-sacrifice. And self-sacrifice, when done endlessly, leads to resentment rather than genuine love. 3. Master the art of saying no with kindness. One of the biggest fears people have when setting boundaries is that they will hurt others or be seen as unkind. But there are ways to say no that maintain relationships while protecting your peace. I understand this is important to you, but I'm not in a position to help right now. I appreciate that you trust me, but I have my own responsibilities to focus on. I know this is difficult, and I encourage you to explore other solutions that work for you. Each of these responses acknowledges the person's need, but reinforces your boundaries. Saying no does not mean rejecting the person. It simply means rejecting an imbalance in the relationship. 4. Limit engagement and redirect the conversation. Manipulators thrive on emotional leverage. If someone continuously pressures you, do not engage in long explanations or debates. Keep your responses brief and neutral. Change the subject if needed. Over time, they will realize that their tactics no longer work on you. 5. Focus on relationships that uplift you. Every moment spent in the company of manipulators is a moment taken away from those who truly respect and care for you. Prioritize friendships and family members who reciprocate kindness and appreciation. Invest in relationships that bring joy, peace, and support into your life. Reclaiming your peace through wisdom. Buddhist teachings remind us that peace comes from within. It cannot be found in the approval of others. Protecting your energy is not an act of selfishness, but an act of self-respect. True generosity flows freely when it is given willingly, not when it is demanded or expected. If someone only values you for what you can do for them, then they do not truly value you. Letting go of manipulation is not about cutting people off in anger. It is about embracing clarity and choosing relationships that align with the peace you have worked so hard to cultivate. So ask yourself, are you giving out of love, or are you giving out of obligation? The answer will guide you toward a life of true freedom, fulfillment, and serenity. 2. The self-absorbed, the eternal spotlight. Seekers. Imagine sitting down with an old friend, eager to share a memory that brings a smile to your face. You take a deep breath, begin to recount your story, and before you can even reach the heart of it, they interrupt, steering the conversation toward themselves. Suddenly, what was supposed to be a moment of shared connection becomes a monologue, with you as a mere spectator. The self-absorbed are masters of turning every interaction into their personal stage. They dominate conversations, drowning out others' voices, leaving you feeling invisible, as if your presence is merely there to validate their existence. These individuals do not listen to understand. They listen only for an opportunity to speak. Over time, engaging with such people can be emotionally draining. You may start questioning your worth, wondering if your stories, thoughts, and experiences even matter. The rich wisdom and depth of your journey deserve to be honored, yet in the presence of the self-absorbed, they are often overshadowed. In Buddhism, we are taught the importance of balance in all things, including communication. True connection is built upon mutual respect, where listening is just as important as speaking. If a relationship is consistently one-sided, it is not a relationship. It is an echo chamber. But here's the empowering truth. You do not have to remain unheard. Protecting your voice and cultivating meaningful conversations. Breaking free from the trap of one-sided conversations does not mean cutting people off in frustration. Instead, it requires a shift in perspective and a few mindful strategies to ensure your voice is valued and respected. 1. Recognize that your voice matters. The first step in reclaiming your space is acknowledging that your thoughts, feelings, and stories are just as important as anyone else's. If someone constantly overshadows you in conversation, remind yourself, I deserve to be heard. 2. Gently redirect the conversation. When faced with a self-absorbed individual, it is easy to shrink back and let them take over. However, you can steer the conversation back in a respectful yet firm way. I'd really love to finish sharing this story. It means a lot to me. That's interesting. It actually reminds me of something similar in my life. I want to hear about your experience, but first let me finish what I was saying. These responses serve as gentle reminders that your words hold value, creating a more balanced exchange. 3. Limit your exposure and prioritize supportive relationships. If certain individuals consistently dismiss your thoughts and experiences, consider reducing your interactions with them. Instead, invest your time in people who listen, appreciate, and uplift you. Seek out friendships that nourish your spirit rather than deplete it. 4. Practice mindful listening yourself. In Buddhism, listening is seen as an act of compassion. The way we wish to be heard, we must also strive to hear others. When you engage in conversations, practice mindful listening, offering others the space to share just as you wish for yourself. By modeling this behavior, you encourage others to reciprocate. 5. Set boundaries without guilt. If someone consistently dominates conversations, it's okay to step away. You are not obligated to entertain interactions that make you feel unseen. A simple and direct approach can be, I enjoy our talks, but I also appreciate conversations where both of us get to share. I notice that our conversations often focus on you, and I'd love for us to have more back and forth discussions. Boundaries are not about pushing people away, but about ensuring that every relationship you maintain is built on mutual respect. In life, our voices are like ripples in a vast ocean. Every story we share, every word we speak, contributes to the beautiful waves of human connection. No one deserves to feel invisible, least of all those who have spent a lifetime gathering wisdom and experiences. Buddhism teaches us that relationships should be sources of harmony, not imbalance. If a conversation constantly leaves you feeling unheard, it is a sign to realign your energy toward those who truly listen and appreciate you. So ask yourself, who in my life values my voice? The answer will guide you toward relationships that uplift, inspire, and bring genuine fulfillment. And in those spaces, your voice will not only be heard, it will be cherished. 3. The chronic critic, masters of subtle negativity. There is a kind of person who, under the guise of care and wisdom, always finds a way to make you doubt yourself. They come disguised as the concerned friend, the well-meaning family member, or even the trusted mentor. Their words are not outright cruel, but they carry the weight of disapproval. Are you sure that's the best decision? You really should be more like, I'm just trying to help you improve. At first, their criticism seems harmless, perhaps even helpful. But over time, their constant need to correct you begins to chip away at your confidence. No matter what you do, it is never quite right in their eyes. Every choice becomes a debate, every effort scrutinized, and soon their voice begins to echo inside your mind, making you question whether you are ever good enough. This is the slow erosion of self-worth. The chronic critic doesn't just point out flaws, they make you feel like you are the flaw. They plant seeds of doubt, making you feel small, incapable, and in constant need of validation. But here's the truth. Your happiness does not depend on their approval. In Buddhism, we learn that the opinions of others are like passing clouds, temporary and ever-changing. True peace comes from within, not from the shifting judgment of those who seek to mold you into their version of better. It is time to reclaim your confidence. Releasing the weight of constant criticism. The antidote to chronic criticism is not confrontation or avoidance. It is understanding, detachment, and self-assurance. Here's how you can free yourself from its grip while maintaining grace and wisdom. 1. Recognize that their words are a reflection of themselves, not you. Criticism often comes from a place of insecurity. Those who habitually judge others are usually dissatisfied with themselves. Their negativity is not about you. It is about their own unfulfilled expectations. A Buddhist teaching reminds us, when someone speaks, they reveal themselves more than they reveal you. 2. Acknowledge, but do not absorb. Not all criticism is harmful. Some can be constructive. However, you must distinguish between feedback that helps you grow and criticism that seeks to diminish you. When faced with unwarranted negativity, try responding with, I appreciate your perspective, but I am happy with my decision. That's an interesting thought, but I trust my own judgment on this. I understand where you're coming from, but this is the path I choose. These responses acknowledge their words without allowing them to take root in your mind. 3. Set boundaries without hostility. If someone constantly criticizes you, it's okay to limit your exposure to them. Protecting your peace is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of self-care. You can gently distance yourself by saying, I prefer conversations that focus on support and encouragement. I respect your views, but I'd appreciate it if you let me make my own choices. I'd love to talk about something more uplifting. Over time, These subtle shifts will either encourage them to change their approach or create the necessary space for you to breathe freely. 4. Strengthen your inner voice. When the world constantly tells you that you are not enough, you must remind yourself that you are. Develop a mantra, a phrase of affirmation that counters negativity. Each morning, remind yourself, I am worthy as I am. I do not need the approval of others to be happy. My value is not defined by external judgment. By reinforcing your own self-worth, the power of external criticism will begin to fade. The freedom of self-acceptance. In Buddhist philosophy, there is a simple but profound truth. Peace comes from within. It does not come from perfection, from pleasing others, or from endlessly seeking approval. It comes from accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. The chronic critic will always exist in some form. There will always be those who feel the need to correct, judge, or disapprove. But their words are just passing sounds, like wind rustling through the trees. You do not have to hold on to them. So the next time someone tries to make you feel small, ask yourself, do their words define me, or do I define myself? The moment you choose to rise above their judgment is the moment you reclaim your peace, your confidence, and your life. 4. The irresponsible, the endless burden makers. There is a type of person who always seems to be in trouble. They stumble from one crisis to another, their lives filled with problems that they never take full responsibility for. And yet, whenever they fall, they reach out, not to stand up on their own, but for you to catch them. At first, helping them feels like the right thing to do. Perhaps it is a family member who has always relied on you financially, a friend who turns to you whenever their relationships fall apart, or a coworker who consistently needs you to cover for them. Their requests often come with urgency, making it seem as if you are their last hope. But as time goes on, you begin to notice a pattern. They never truly change. They borrow, but never repay, apologize, but never improve, promise, but never follow through. Their problems become your problems, and before you realize it, their burdens have become your own. In Buddhism, we are taught the law of karma, the idea that every individual is responsible for their own path. No one can walk the journey of life for another. By constantly rescuing those who refuse to help themselves, we are not practicing compassion. We are interfering with their growth. True kindness is not about carrying someone's weight for them, but about helping them develop the strength to carry it themselves. It is time to step back, not out of cruelty, but out of wisdom. Helping without enabling. The answer to dealing with irresponsible individuals is not to abandon them, but to change the way we support them. Here are ways to free yourself from being trapped in the cycle of endless giving while still maintaining kindness and integrity. 1. Understand the difference between helping and rescuing. Helping means offering guidance and support that empowers the other person to solve their own problems. Rescuing means taking on their problems as your own, preventing them from learning or taking responsibility. Ask yourself, am I truly helping them grow, or am I just shielding them from the consequences of their choices? 2. Set clear boundaries with love. People who are used to relying on others often push limits without realizing it. Learning to say no is an act of self-respect. and it can be done with kindness. I care about you, but I can't fix this for you. I believe you have the ability to figure it out. I want to see you succeed, but you need to take the first step. I'm happy to offer advice, but I can't provide financial support anymore. These responses show compassion while making it clear that you will no longer be their safety net. 3. Redirect instead of solving. Rather than fixing their problems, encourage them to find solutions. If they ask for money, suggest they create a budget or seek financial counseling. If they constantly need emotional support but never take action, gently remind them, "I've given you advice before, but now it's up to you to apply it." If they rely on you for problem solving, encourage them to explore their own solutions. What do you think is the best way forward? By shifting the responsibility back onto them, you empower them to take control of their own lives. 4. Be at peace with their reaction. Not everyone will appreciate your new boundaries. Some may try to guilt trip you, using phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, I thought you cared about me. You're being selfish." Do not let these words shake you. Their disappointment is not a reflection of your actions, but of their expectations. Remember, protecting your well-being is not selfish, it is necessary. Wisdom in letting go. There is a Buddhist teaching that says, "You only lose what you cling to." In other words, suffering often comes from holding on to things that no longer serve us, including relationships that drain us rather than uplift us. The greatest act of love is not to rescue someone from their own lessons, but to let them experience the growth that comes from facing life on their own terms. When we free ourselves from the weight of others' irresponsibility, we create space for peace, for joy, and for relationships built on mutual respect rather than obligation. So ask yourself, am I carrying someone else's karma? If the answer is yes, then it is time to step back, not in anger, but in wisdom. Let go, not to abandon, but to allow them to finally walk their own path. 5. The ungrateful. The joy thieves. There is a kind of person who takes without ever truly receiving. No matter how much you do for them, it is never enough. Your acts of kindness are met not with gratitude, but with expectation. Your generosity, instead of being cherished, is seen as something they are entitled to. You offer your time, your effort, your resources, thinking that perhaps this time they will recognize your kindness. But instead of appreciation, they come back asking for more. When you hesitate, they question your heart. "I thought you cared about me." When you finally say no, they make you feel guilty. You've changed. The ungrateful do not steal your money or possessions. They steal something far more valuable, your joy. They turn what should be a fulfilling act of giving into a burdensome obligation. Over time, you start feeling drained, used, and unappreciated. The pure joy of kindness that once came naturally now feels exhausting. In Buddhism, we learn that generosity is not about the recipient. It is about the giver. The moment we expect recognition, our giving becomes a transaction rather than an act of compassion. However, this does not mean allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of. True wisdom lies in knowing when to give freely and when to step back. The key is not to stop giving, but to change how we give. Giving with awareness and setting healthy boundaries. The goal is not to become bitter or to stop being kind, but to protect the purity of our generosity. Here's how you can continue to give without allowing others to exploit your kindness. 1. Give without attachment to the outcome. True generosity comes from a place of inner abundance. When you give, do so because it brings you joy, not because you expect appreciation in return. If someone expresses gratitude, accept it with warmth. If they do not, let it go. Their response does not define the value of your kindness. Shift your mindset. Instead of thinking, "They didn't appreciate me," think, "I gave because it felt right in my heart." 2. Recognize the difference between true need and endless taking. Some people genuinely need help, while others take simply because they can. Ask yourself, is this person struggling, or are they just accustomed to relying on me? If someone never acknowledges what you do but always asks for more, it may be time to step back. 3. Set boundaries with grace. Being kind does not mean being available at all times. It is okay to say no, firmly yet gently. "I wish I could help this time, but I have my own priorities to focus on." "I value our relationship, but I also need to take care of my own well-being." "I enjoy giving, but it's important to me that it is appreciated, not expected." These statements reinforce your boundaries without resentment or hostility. 4. Redirect your kindness to where it truly matters. There are people who do appreciate your generosity. Focus on them. Consider giving in ways that uplift your spirit, such as volunteering or supporting causes that align with your values. When kindness flows where it is truly valued, it replenishes rather than drains you. The balance between generosity and self-respect. Buddhist teachings remind us that everything in life must have balance, even kindness. Compassion is only meaningful when it is given freely, not when it is extracted through guilt or expectation. If your giving leaves you feeling empty rather than fulfilled, it is a sign that something is out of alignment. The key is to protect your energy while still keeping an open heart. So ask yourself, am I giving from love or am I giving from obligation? The answer will guide you toward generosity that brings not just happiness to others, but peace to yourself. 6. The negative thinker. The shadows of pessimism. There is a type of person who carries a storm wherever they go. No matter the situation, they always find what's wrong. When you talk about a happy memory, they remind you of the struggles surrounding it. When you share an accomplishment, they tell you why it's not good enough. When life presents an opportunity, they warn you about all the ways it could go wrong. The negative thinker does not look for solutions. They dwell in problems. Their words are heavy, their presence draining. Over time, their perspective seeps into your own. The more you listen, the more you begin to see the world through their lens, one of fear, complaint, and dissatisfaction. At first, you may try to help. You offer encouragement, you try to shift their focus, you suggest solutions, but nothing changes. Their negativity is not seeking an answer, it is seeking a companion. And if you are not careful, you will become just that. Buddhism teaches us that our minds are like gardens. What we cultivate within them determines the quality of our lives. If we allow negativity to take root, it will spread like weeds, choking out the beauty and peace we have worked so hard to grow. But here's the good news. You do not have to live in someone else's storm. Guarding your inner peace and cultivating positivity. The key to dealing with negative thinkers is not to fight them or change them. It is to protect your own mind while offering them an alternative perspective. Here's how. 1. Set emotional boundaries. You are not obligated to absorb someone else's negativity. When a conversation begins to take a pessimistic turn, you can gently shift the focus. I understand your concern, but I like to focus on what we can do rather than what's wrong. That's one way to see it. I prefer to look at the bright side. I hear you, but I'd love to talk about something uplifting. If they resist, remember, you do not have to participate in every discussion you are invited to. 2. Limit exposure and choose your energy wisely. If someone's negativity consistently drains you, it is okay to spend less time around them. This does not mean you stop caring. It simply means you prioritize your own well-being. Spend more time with people who uplift and inspire you. Engage in activities that nourish your mind, reading, meditation, or simply sitting in nature. Recognize when you need space and honor that need without guilt. 3. Lead by example. Be the light. Sometimes, the best way to handle negativity is not by resisting it, but by showing an alternative. Instead of arguing against their pessimism, live in a way that reflects joy, gratitude, and optimism. Express appreciation for small things. Share stories of resilience and hope. Demonstrate that happiness is a choice, not a circumstance. By radiating positivity, you create an environment where negativity struggles to thrive. 4. Shift the perspective with gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to pessimism. When a negative thinker focuses on what's wrong, redirect the conversation with questions like, "What's something good that happened to you today? What's one thing you're grateful for right now? I know this situation is tough, but is there anything we can learn from it?" These questions plant seeds of positivity, even if they resist at first. Choosing light over darkness. Buddhism teaches that the mind is everything. What you think, you become. If you surround yourself with negativity, it will shape your reality. But if you choose to cultivate gratitude, peace, and joy, then no external darkness can touch your inner light. The negative thinker will always exist, but the question is, will you let their perspective become your own? Or will you choose to protect your mental space and embrace the beauty of life? Your peace is yours to protect. Choose wisely. 7. The drama seeker, the emotional storm bringers. There are people who walk into a room and bring a storm with them. Their presence is never calm, never easy. They thrive on chaos, feeding on arguments, gossip, and tension. No matter the situation, they find a way to turn peace into conflict, harmony into discord. At first, you might mistake their intensity for passion. Perhaps you feel sympathy, thinking they just need someone to listen. But soon, you begin to notice a pattern. Whenever they leave, you feel exhausted. Your thoughts are tangled in their problems, your emotions drained by their endless complaints. They never seek resolution, only attention. They do not want solutions, only reactions. The drama seeker does not just disrupt your peace, they consume it. They turn your mind into a battlefield, filling your days with unnecessary stress. Their chaos, if left unchecked, becomes your own. But here's the truth. Peace is a choice, and you do not have to live in someone else's storm. Choosing detachment over drama. The key to dealing with drama seekers is not to fight them, because that's what they want. Instead, you must learn the art of disengagement, of stepping back without guilt. Here's how. 1. Recognize the pattern and refuse to participate. Drama seekers rely on one thing: your reaction. They need you to engage, to argue, to emotionally invest in their chaos. But what happens if you don't? When they bring gossip, change the subject. When they stir conflict, refuse to engage. When they seek attention through negativity, stay neutral. A simple, calm response can dismantle their energy. I prefer not to get involved in this. I'd rather focus on something positive. That sounds tough, but I trust you'll figure it out. Over time, they will realize that you are not an easy target for their drama. 2. Set clear emotional boundaries. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every problem is yours to solve. Protect your energy by limiting your interactions. If they constantly bring stress into your life, create distance. If they always complain but never change, stop offering solutions. If they manipulate you with emotions, stay firm in your boundaries. You are not responsible for carrying their emotional weight. 3. Surround yourself with stability and positivity. The more time you spend in peaceful environments, the easier it becomes to recognize and reject drama. Cultivate relationships with people who bring calmness, wisdom, and encouragement. Engage in activities that nourish your mind: meditation, reading, nature walks. Remember that silence is sometimes the best response to unnecessary conflict. Drama cannot exist without an audience. By stepping away, you take away its power. Mastering the art of walking away. Buddhism teaches us that suffering comes from attachment to people, to emotions, to expectations. The drama seeker survives by keeping others attached to their chaos. But the moment you let go, the moment you refuse to engage, their power over you disappears. Peace is not something you have to fight for. It is something you choose. It is in the quiet moments, in the ability to walk away, in the decision to protect your energy. So ask yourself, is this my storm to endure, or is it time to step into the sunlight? The answer will guide you toward the serenity you truly deserve. Embracing peace and wisdom in old age. Aging is often viewed as a simple process of growing older, but in truth, it is the art of growing wiser. With every passing year, we are given the opportunity to refine our understanding of life, to shed what no longer serves us, and to embrace what truly brings us fulfillment. The beauty of old age does not lie in the number of years we have lived, but in the depth of wisdom we have gathered along the way. True peace is not found in external circumstances, nor does it depend on the validation or presence of others. Instead, it is cultivated within, through the choices we make, the relationships we nurture, and the burdens we are willing to release. The Buddha once taught, "Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without." This simple yet profound truth reminds us that no one else is responsible for our happiness. It is a state of being that we must consciously create for ourselves. One of the greatest acts of wisdom in our later years is learning to discern which relationships uplift us and which ones weigh us down. There are connections that nourish our spirit, bringing warmth, understanding, and joy. And then there are those that drain our energy, cloud our clarity, and disrupt our inner harmony. Letting go of toxic attachments is not an act of cruelty, but an act of self-respect. When we release those who bring conflict, manipulation, or constant negativity into our lives, we open up space for serenity, joy, and genuine love. As you move forward, take a moment to reflect. Who in my life nourishes my spirit, and who depletes it? The answer to this question holds the key to a more peaceful and fulfilling journey. By choosing relationships that align with love, kindness, and mutual respect, you are not just preserving your well-being, you are honoring the life you have built, embracing the wisdom you have gained, and allowing yourself to fully experience the golden years as they were meant to be, a time of peace, reflection, and quiet joy.